Welcome to another explainer. Today, we're taking a really deep dive into the everyday habits that actually build strong, connected relationships. Look, if you've ever felt like the spark with your partner is just a little bit off, or if you simply want to take your relationship to the next level, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack the foundational, day-to-day behaviors that honestly make all the difference. So, here is how we're going to break down the source material today. We'll start by busting the myth of natural intimacy, then we'll walk through cultivating emotional readiness, fostering presence, some practical care tips, and finally, we'll talk about building intimacy way beyond the bedroom. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the myth of natural intimacy, and why a great connection doesn't just happen on its own. I want you to really think about this for a second. Have you ever wondered why intimacy sometimes feels absolutely amazing, while other times it just leaves you feeling totally disconnected? It's so common, but we often wrongly assume that great intimacy just happens spontaneously, without any prior groundwork. We kind of buy into this idea that it's supposed to be effortless, and when it isn't, we immediately panic and worry that something is broken. But as we can see here, it's really a tale of two entirely different states. When things feel forced, rushed, or just awkward, there's usually a deeper emotional disconnect happening behind the scenes. It's almost never a lack of immediate chemistry right in that split second. It's entirely about what happened, or what didn't happen, leading up to that moment. So the crucial takeaway here is that a healthy connection is built on habits developed long before the bedroom. It's not about what you do during the act that matters most. It's the morning text, the way you greet each other after work, and how you handle stress together. That is what actually lays the groundwork. Which brings us nicely to section 2, cultivating true emotional readiness, and how handling our emotions has to come before physical connection. Now, the source points out 3 huge roadblocks that completely block emotional readiness. First, trying to connect right after an unresolved argument. Second, comparing your partner to anyone else, whether that's a past relationship or some unrealistic standard on social media. And third, simply ignoring their anxiety or stress. These behaviors are literal connection killers because they just destroy emotional security. Your partner needs to feel safe and accepted first. So what do you do instead? Well, if an argument is just lingering in the air, don't sweep it under the rug. You have to communicate. Apologize if you need to, and actually resolve the conflict first. Because trying to force physical intimacy when one of you still feels hurt or unheard, that's only going to create a much bigger wedge between you two. If your partner seems anxious, upset, or even just distracted, don't pretend everything is totally fine. Ask them how they're feeling and genuinely listen. Sometimes what your partner needs most in that moment isn't physical intimacy at all. It's just comfort. Emotional care is the absolute prerequisite for a strong physical connection. Okay, once you've built that emotional readiness, we move to section 3, fostering respect and presence. This is all about how you actually show up in the moment. Look at these essentials from our source material. The environment you create really matters. Drinking so much that you lose good judgment totally ruins communication. Rushing through things kills the mood because your mind is still stuck on work or whatever chores you have to do. And above all else, any form of pressure completely destroys mutual respect. You really have to slow down, talk, laugh, and just be present with each other. I love this quote from the source. Healthy intimacy should always be based on mutual desire and enthusiastic consent. Nobody should ever feel manipulated, guilty, or obligated. The strongest relationships are built entirely on respect. When both people are freely choosing to connect out of genuine, enthusiastic desire, it makes the whole experience infinitely better. And seriously, we have to talk about this one. Put the phones away. Literally, do not let your phone become the third person in the room. Checking messages, mindlessly scrolling social media, or answering one last work email right before bed totally breaks your connection. Giving your partner your full, undivided attention is the easiest way to show them that they actually matter. Let's pivot to section 4, practical care and planning, because it's not all just abstract emotions. Sometimes it comes down to very tangible, practical habits. This might sound incredibly basic, but the source explicitly warns against neglecting personal hygiene or avoiding honest conversations about family planning. Openly talking about sexual health and pregnancy intentions is a massive part of maintaining trust. You can't just ignore the practical stuff. And on the hygiene front, it isn't about vanity or looking like a supermodel. Planning ahead reduces anxiety, and taking the time to simply shower or brush your teeth shows profound consideration for your partner's comfort. It's a small act of care, but it makes a surprisingly huge difference in helping both of you feel confident and relaxed. Which brings us to our fifth and final section, intimacy beyond the bedroom. This is where the source reveals what true connection actually looks like on a daily basis. The biggest mistake couples make is believing that intimacy only starts when you close the bedroom door. But look at this definition. Real intimacy is a continuous, daily practice. It's holding hands, speaking kind words, backing each other up through hard times, and showing genuine appreciation. These little daily moments, they are what actually build the bridge of emotional closeness. And this leads us to the biggest secret of this whole explainer. A healthy sex life isn't created by having perfect techniques or trying crazy new things. It is built entirely on a genuine desire to care for one another. It's rooted in deep trust, constant communication, affection, and a whole lot of patience. The healthiest couples know they have to strengthen their friendship and mutual understanding first. When you invest in your emotional connection every single day, intimacy transcends just the physical act. It becomes this incredibly powerful expression of your love, your commitment, and your partnership. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Think about everything we've covered today, from ditching the phones to resolving conflicts and really prioritizing emotional care. What do you think is the most important ingredient for a healthy, fulfilling relationship? I highly encourage you to reflect on your own relationship and figure out your essential ingredients for that deep, lasting connection. Thanks so much for joining me today to explore this topic.